As we head into spring, I'm sure you're wondering what's coming up in the real estate market, especially if you're looking to buy or sell. So whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or you're just staying in the loop with all this stuff, you're in the right place. Hey everyone, I'm Joe Skipper, owner of Skipper Realty Group, and your go-to residential real estate specialist here in Wilsonville, Oregon. I am so happy to serve clients across the Portland metropolitan area and the Willamette Valley areas like Sherwood, Tigard, Salem, Kaiser, and anywhere in between that. So if you're a buyer, you're a seller, or you're just curious about the housing market, stay right here. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up so that you don't miss any of the updates that are to come. Now, let's break down what the latest data is showing and what it might mean for you in 2025. But first, let's get a quick recap. In January, the median sold price for a single-family home in Wilsonville hit $710,000. Now, that's up 2% compared to January of 2024. The median days on market jumped from 23 days in January of 2024 to 66 days this past month, a slight 187% increase. Active listings are down 31% year over year, which is 22 homes on the market in January 2025 versus 32 last year. And the sales to list price ratio dipped slightly to 98.28% from 98.62%. So these numbers show a strong local market, even though some areas are starting to cool off a little bit. But let's dive a little bit deeper into these numbers. A 2% rise in median home prices might not sound really huge to you, but it really shows steady equity growth, especially of high interest rates and more cautious buyers. Prices in our area are stable, so if you're in a position to buy, investing in a home still makes sense. I totally get why some buyers are hesitating. Rental rates are outpacing many mortgage rates, but if you're comfortable with the current rates, now may be a good time to act. With fewer buyers in the mix, you might have more room to negotiate before that spring rush really kicks in. Now, experts across the Portland metro area are predicting a moderate price growth in 2025, just not as rapid as we've seen before. Now, this slower pace gives buyers a bit more wiggle room when they make their offers. So I've noticed that buyers are speaking up more during negotiations and sellers are more open to working with them, which I think personally makes a healthier market. Now, the inventory could provide a great opportunity for sellers. January saw a sharp 31% drop in active listings, meaning that there are only 22 single-family homes available in Wilsonville right now. Now, for sellers, this is a golden chance to stand out. Listing your home now before that spring rush could lead to a quicker sale and better offers. Now, buyers aren't waiting around for rates to drop to 5% anymore. They're serious about buying at today's rate. So from what I've been hearing, as we move into spring, inventory may start to rise as usual. And with that, buyers' activity will pick up. So if you're thinking of selling, it might be smart to list sooner rather than later. So buyer activity and mortgage rates are still a major factor for buyers. Although rates stayed high through 2024, early signs suggest they might stabilize or even ease slightly in 2025. Now I say ease slightly because we're not expecting any dramatic drops. After waiting all last year for that big change that never came, my advice is to work with the rates that you have now. And if they drop later, you can always refinance. Now, I'm not saying rush into a purchase just hoping for the lower rates, but just be ready for what's current and consider any future dip a nice bonus. To help break down some of these mortgage-related questions, though, I've invited my trusted lender and good friend, Paul Robinson, on to join us today. Paul always brings fresh insights, whether it's about current rates or smart strategies to get into a home. So, Paul, what mortgage topics should we dive into today?
Hey, thanks, Joe. This is Paul Robinson, owner of Greater Oregon Mortgage Company. Thought we'd talk about pre-approvals and the importance of pre-approvals, especially now that here we're in February, but we are just a month, 2 months away from the real buying season starting. And so to be prepared is important. Pre-approvals are a big part of that. But before I get into some of the more important reasons on why you want to be pre-approved, let's describe the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. So pre-approval is you've given your lender your income, your assets, you've allowed them to pull credit. They've run your loan through the different system, whatever the loan program is. Let's say it's Fannie Mae, and Fannie Mae has given an answer back, and they have that answer, the official findings of what they're called, or if it's FHA or VA, whatever it is, they've run it through the system of the loan you're going to be using. And so you are truly officially approved is what I call it. Now, pre-qualification is where you've spoken with the lender. You don't give them anything. You've just told them, hey, I make this amount of money. This is how many assets I have. And here's what my credit looks like. And they're like, oh, okay, well, as long as what you're saying is accurate, yeah, you're pre-qualified. That is virtually worthless. And the reason that's worthless is because listing agents recognize that a pre-qualification means that you have not been vetted. It means that you have not given your information. It means that an underwriter has not seen your file, and it means that the approval, you really don't have an approval. You just have, verbiage that says, well, if these things happen to be true, then you're good. And so they'll always go to the bottom of the pile. So that's the difference between the two. Now, here's the reasons for being pre-approved that, I find to be most important. First of all, just what I said about listing agents, they're not going to accept an offer unless it comes with a pre-approval. So there's no sense in making an offer unless you have, because your offer will not be accepted. Number two is pre-approvals. When you're pre-approved, it gives you time to see, okay, here's the amount of home I can buy. Now, how much money do I need to make that work, to make that purchase price work, and what's my monthly payment? If you're not comfortable with the amount of funds it takes to buy a home at, say, that level, and you're not comfortable with the payment at that level, then you need time to work the numbers and work with your lender to have them show you different price ranges so you can arrive at a price that the funds to close that loan and the payment match what you're comfortable with. Pre-approvals allow buyers to make offers quickly. Like when I was saying, when the season's it's going to be upon us here pretty darn quickly, and you're out looking at houses, you find one that you love, and if you've got to go back to your lender, provide all your information, and then have them go through the process of getting you approved, a good approval, that could take, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the lender. And by that time, if you found a house that you think is great, there are a lot of other people that are going to think it's great, and you'll have people making offers before you can. And so being pre-approved, if you find a great home that you love, you can make an offer, and I would say make it right away as soon as possible. It just cuts out your competition. The other piece on that, like say you're working with Joe on a home purchase and you want to close, you find out the seller wants to close quickly. That's something too. If you're already pre-approved, you've already got that ball rolling and you have your lender working on conditions, you can close more quickly. So you can say, hey, I write the offer, we're going to make a 21-day close date. And if the competitors, if other people come in and they're at 30 or 45 days or even longer, you've got an edge, you have an advantage there. So being pre-approved and allowing your lender to already start the process of your approval and getting conditions cleared is super important for that as well. And let's talk about that. Incomes. That typically is something that can take a long time. Now, most people think of complex income as like, well, I'm not self-employed. Or if they are self-employed, gosh, you want to give yourself time to get all the extra documentation that underwriting needs in order to clear all the income conditions for a self-employed borrower. But there are W-2 borrowers that are also complex. They also need additional time. And I'll give you an example of just some of the ones I've worked with over the years and working with exactly right now. In fact, a nurse, where a hospital nurse, we'll just use that as an example, their differential pay, they'll have their normal base pay, they'll have overtime pay, they can have weekend pay, they can have Sunday pay, they can have holiday pay. There's a lot, they could even have graveyard pay. There's so many differentials that they have that it takes underwriting a little bit longer to verify what they can use. Electricians, that's another common one. And they are also very varied as well, because they'll have their normal base pay, but then sometimes they'll work on jobs that are prevailing wage. And a lot of differentials, if they're doing that type of work, there's typically weekend pay, there's typically holiday pay. So underwriters just need more time to go through the documentation. Now, if they don't have it, then they're gonna be pushing on you to get it to them as soon as possible. And so the more time you can give yourself, the less stressful all of this process can be, which is fantastic. So anyway, that's what I shoot for. It's like buying a house should be fun. It should be exciting. It should be kind of an adventure, a treasure hunt. And if you're always getting hounded for conditions that, we need to get this now. If it had to be squished into this period of time versus this period of time, your experience isn't going to be as enjoyable. So anyway, that's another important piece. But another big one is getting pre-approved. Is it's not uncommon for credit agencies to make errors. TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, if they make an error, if they report an error on your credit bureau, it's not up to them to correct it. It should be, but it's not. It's up to you. You have to, they make an error and it's affecting your approval. It's up to you to get the documentation. It's up to you to provide it, and it's up to you to get it changed, which is, it seems rotten, and it really is, but that's the way it is. So it's not as uncommon as you think. So anyway, so having that gives you an extra ability there. The last one I'll bring up is, I call it the law of patience. And that's where I'm referred borrowers and I go, hey, we want to get approved, but you know what? We're gonna give you all our information. We want to know the program we qualify for and all, and all that, but we're in no rush. I mean, we might buy in 3 months, we might buy in 6 months, we might even buy in a year. And I'm like, great, that's no problem at all. We get them approved, and then they walk out the door, and then 3 weeks later, here's this person that's like this, family or whatever it might be that says, hey, we might buy in a year. And within 3 weeks, they found a house, they have an accepted offer. I don't know what it is, but when people they prepare themselves and then they are patient and they are willing and ready to wait no matter how long it takes. For some reason, the great houses just start showing themselves. And again, I don't know what the dynamic is. I just call it the law of patience because it's a great place to be. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, you feel free to reach out to me at paul@gomcloans.com. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Paul. It's always great to have your perspective to help buyers make these huge decisions when purchasing a home. So what does this mean as we head into spring? So for sellers, the combination of rising home prices and low inventory means it's a fantastic time to list your home. So just make sure you price it right from the very start. Buyers nowadays are savvy. They won't fall for the price it high and drop it later approach. They know the market, so setting the right price is going to be key to getting you the best return this spring. And for you buyers out there, even though the market is competitive, there's still room to negotiate. Homes are selling just a tad below their list prices, as shown by 98.28% sales to list price ratio. So working with a skilled agent can make all the difference. Now, in a hot market, you may get away with a less experienced agent, but that can come back to bite you nowadays. Do your research and work with someone who truly knows their stuff in the real estate world. And again, the market predictions ahead looking in the Portland metro area remains positive through 2025. Like I said, price gains are expected to be moderate around 3 to 5%, maybe even a bit higher in Wilsonville. And while more sellers may list their homes in the spring and summer, demand is still likely to outpace the supply, which is keeping our market competitive. And my final thoughts is that as we get ready for a spring season, you have to have a clear plan for your home, and it's more important than ever to do it. Whether you're buying, selling, or you're just staying informed, I'm here to help you guide every step of the way. So let's connect and talk about your real estate goals so we can create a strategy that fits your specific needs. Thanks for watching my January market report, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it useful. And also drop a comment below or reach out to me directly with any questions that you have. See you guys.